Meanwhile, federal officials are speaking today at a hearing about rising threats in the U.S. The FBI Director, Homeland Security Secretary, and Director of National Counterterrorism Center are all expected to testify before the Senate Homeland Security and Governmental Affairs Committee. In opening statements, FBI Director Christopher Wray warned that the Israel-Hamas war could fuel a rise in threats here at home.
Since the horrific terrorist attacks committed by Hamas against innocent people in Israel a few weeks ago, we've been working around the clock to support our partners there and to protect Americans here at home. We assess that the actions of Hamas and its allies will serve as an inspiration, the likes of which we haven't seen since ISIS launched its so-called caliphate several years ago.
For more, let's bring in ABC News contributor and counterterrorism expert Elizabeth Newman, ABC News contributor and former FBI agent Brad Garrett, as well as our Justice Department reporter Alex Mallon. Elizabeth, how does the Israel-Hamas war factor into the current threat environment here at home?
Look, we've already been at an all-time high for anti-Semitic hate. It's been on the uptrend for about 10 years. The people that keep records on this sort of thing go back all the way to the 1970s, and we've never seen anything this high. October 7th was a triggering moment, and the spike that we have seen in online rhetoric as well as offline in real life violence and hate crimes and intimidation tactics, it literally is off the charts at this point. It is a very volatile, intense environment. And I think what you just heard FBI Director Wray say is actually quite chilling, that this environment he sees a similarity to what happened when ISIS declared its caliphate and inspired people to commit attacks. If we were to see something similar, what he's basically telegraphing is that they're concerned that we might see a spate of terrorist attacks here in the United States and in friendly countries around the globe.
Brad, how is law enforcement positioning itself to respond to this heightened threat environment?
So it becomes very difficult from the reality of so many different pieces of intelligence or information from individuals, from intercepts, from a variety of directions as to what's fact, what's fantasy, who's actually going to move on something. So you've got to be quick on sorting out some of these leads to see if, in fact, they take you anywhere. And you have to be careful not to get overwhelmed with numbers. So it's kind of, from the FBI standpoint, the number one thing I'm sure they're dealing with day in and day out. But I still contend the issue is going to be lone actors. And lone actors, as we've talked about multiple times, are sometimes the most difficult to figure out what they're going to do until they do it.
And Alex, what are some of the other major domestic threats the Department of Justice is monitoring right now?
Well, I think one of the things that FBI Director Wray highlighted was, of course, with what's going on with the Israel-Hamas war, was their concern that cyber actors could also be activated in places like Iran or other foreign nation states who want to take advantage of this situation. So they want to put Americans on notice to be ever diligent about protecting their personal information, their cyber resilience, to make sure that they're not going to be exploited via things like ransomware attacks. That's another one of the things that they highlighted. And I think another thing that they'll likely be pressed on is the crisis at the southern border. Obviously, Homeland Security Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas is there, and he's going to be pressed on this surge of migrants at the border. And I think Republicans are likely to express concern about the potential that maybe Hamas terrorists or individuals who might be inspired to commit terrorist attacks in the U.S. are part of that group of that's surging across the border. And I think that that's another thing that the FBI Director Wray was highlighting and saying that they're in constant contact with field offices across the country to ensure that they're monitoring all these lone actors who might be activated. And he also highlighted the fact that it's not just isolated to the threats against the Jewish community. Obviously, we saw that horrific stabbing of that young Muslim boy. That's another thing that FBI Director Wray highlighted in his remarks. He said that it's not just isolated to threats against the Jewish community. The Muslim community and Arab communities should also be on alert at this moment.
All right, Elizabeth Newman, Brad Garrett, and Alex Mallon, thank you all.
Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.